Hey friends, it's been a hot minute. I know I've been gone for a little bit, but today we're gonna hit it off with some books because I have not chatted books with you guys over on this platform in a while. So we're gonna do a reading wrap up, and this has been the month of September actually, was the most DNFs that I've had ever, especially in a row. It was awful. But I did have a lot of winners, so stick around with me. Let's chat books.
You look at me and see that I'm the type of girl you're not really that used to.
Welcome back, friends. If you're brand new to my channel, my name is Arlene with Arlene & Company. As I said before, we're going to be chatting books. This is actually a wrap up for August and September because September was like crazy and there was just like no way I was gonna get another video out. I do have a live that I did with Kelly from Beaches and Read over on Instagram that we did last week. By the time that this airs, you'll see it like a week after. And we, if you have never seen it, we go off on tangents, we go on bookish shenanigans, and it's just a good time. So go ahead and check out the live. We will be discussing the same books that I have here, but a lot more, because then you get to see what she has read, and also some recommendations and our huge TBR stacks that are of hopefuls. We're mood readers, so we always have a great amount of if I start glistening, I don't sweat. The first book I want to talk about is The Silent Patient. Now, The Silent Patient was one I have seen, I don't know, since it came out. Everybody's been talking about it, but then it really like gained momentum within the last like few months. Like it was just blown up, especially in Bookstagram. So I saw it all over the place. The premise of the story sounded pretty cool. You know, I love psychological thrillers. I love things with a twist. Was it worth the hype? Okay, so The Silent Patient, it was, I would not say I don't recommend reading it. And obviously these are all personal taste and experience. And I, as a mood reader, I read across every genre pretty much. Not so much sci-fi. Sorry. I have to like really like, you know, have like a influence of something else to get the sci-fi in there. But sometimes I've made exceptions for certain authors and people that authors I've known personally, and they've done a fantastic job. Patient that killed her husband, like kill like several times. I love how Kelly put it, like several times. And there is this new psychologist, or actually I'm not really it's like some kind of specialist that is trying really hard to get her to speak. So she has gone silent, you know, selective mutism, or I mean, I diagnosed it. Doesn't exactly say that diagnosis, but exactly what happened, why she did it. They seem happy and all that stuff. I want to say that it was enough of a psychological thriller that it just like kept me hooked on and like very interested. I was a little let down by the ending. I just expected more, and I kind of figured it out. And I've said this numerous times, especially if you've been to one of our lives over on Instagram. I'm very good about figuring out the ending. So when you're able to surprise me, you like instantly earn points. So to me, it was like maybe 3.75, or I know I'm gonna get hate on it because I know a lot of people were recommending this book and they just love it. It was okay for me, and I think it would have been that much better if the ending developed a little bit differently. That's all I can say without spoilers. So yeah, I read was Half Bad. Now I was really annoyed by Half Bad because it started so good. Like I was hooked. It was, you know, different factions. It was that fantasy. It was the magical element. It was adventures. It was fast paced. It was just like bam, bam, bam. But like the speech was just like, you know, like Gilmore Girls style. I was just excited. I was thrilled for it. I wanted to like, you know, for it to keep going. And one of the things that Kelly and I talked about is novels that have this really strong beginning and a really like cool ending, but the middle kind of just like what just happened. So I'm glad I stuck with it because I really like the story. And it's a series, so I wanted to read the whole entire thing. When I started, I was like, this is so good. And there was, you know, there's quite a bit of violence and craziness at first. You know, like, you know, forbidden love, but then everything is just happening really quickly, which normally I can keep up, but something happened in the middle. Maybe my ADD kicked in, but I was just like, I'm not sure what's happening. what's happening. If you read this series, let me know if I should continue to book 2, because I really enjoyed it, but then the middle really broke it for me, so I gave it like 3.5 stars. So, but it was really good, except for like a chunk in the middle. This book destroyed me. I wrote an entire review that consisted, normally my reviews are very lengthy because I'm very like, obviously if you've been to my channel for any amount of time, I'm very wordy and I'm very like lyrical with my writing and stuff, and you would think I'm like submitting some piece of poetry. But anyways, normally I write this big essay, and with the 4 winds, I just wrote like, I think like a couple sentences and said, I've been destroyed. It has stomped my heart and pressed it on the ground and just dragged me across. Just get it. Just get it. If you are in the mood, if you're a mood reader and you're in the mood of being destroyed, just read the 4 winds. Okay, here's the thing with the 4 winds. The author has come through a lot of heat, and you know, it has gotten some mixed reviews. A lot of people love, like, you know, The Nightingale and a lot of her other titles. I will tell you, The Nightingale was one of my DNFs. I could not get into it. I'm not gonna officially call it a DNF yet, because maybe I will pick it back up. I'm sorry, you're gonna hear life happening out there. I don't know, and I'm not relocating, so this is it. All right, doing it out. A historical fiction, so there's some liberties taken, and it's set in the Great Depression era, and it focuses on this particular family and you know, female protagonist, and you know, her journey, and across, you know, having her own children and things like that, and you follow her life story through the Great Depression. I believe he was Italian. Yes, he was Italian, and she wasn't, and that was just like, you know, Italian was getting a lot of hate back then. But it really focused on that part. Obviously, there was a lot of other wow, it's bad, right? Okay, if all of a sudden my background changes, it's because I can. There is several stories that can be explored with the Great Depression, and several different viewpoints, and several groups that were also, you know, largely discriminated, and all kinds of hardship and stuff. But it's a historical fiction, and it's telling one story, one perspective. So that's my take on it. I know some people may disagree, and some people are like, well, it didn't show this part, it didn't show that, but it's not a history text. So it's not a history text, okay? It's a historical fiction. I only had 2 5-star reads for this reading wrap up, and this was a 5-star for me, because it was not something that tied it up into a pretty little bow and gave you like this story that you could feel good about or anything like that. It didn't romanticize. You know, obviously there was a romance element. I don't even know if I could call it romance, because it was effed up. I want to put it right out there. Ooh, no, girl, like no. And I mean, you're rooting for her character the whole entire time, and you know, watching her come into her own and to be able to stick up for herself. And then her daughter, oh my god, her daughter was really, she was pissing me off. Like, do you know what your mother has been through? Do you know? Anyway, so there was a lot of, I don't want to give it away because there's just so many different like family dynamics and drama and things like that, but then what was happening during that era, and drags her characters through the ground, and then stomps on them, and then just like waits for them to like rain down, and then lets lightning hit them, and then when you think that they have recovered, then she goes ahead and she gets a truck and backs it into them, and then she does it all over again. I was like frozen solid after reading this title. I just had to I needed to recoup. This was your classic book hangover. The book I read was Most Wanted. This was one of okay, I know there's a serial killer element and all that stuff, but I consider this a light read. I know there's something wrong with this, but it was a lighter read for me. I gave it a 3.5 stars. I I would still like, you know, like if you need a palate cleanser and you need a good little psychological thriller to just like get a quick read, Most Wanted was a pretty interesting and pretty good book. It kept me interested the whole entire time because I was really trying to figure out what the heck was going on. So anyways, this couple uses a sperm donor to start their family. And she's a school teacher. She looks up on her screen in the break room, and then she sees the news, and she notices that the profile picture that she saw from their sperm donor matches someone that was just arrested for being a serial killer. Okay, I did warn there may be a location change. Now, like the air conditioning stuff was just going to be her potential donor, and the agency can't tell her the identity because, you know, all the clauses and stuff like that, and it just starts into this whole big journey. But if you think the story is just straightforward, like, you know, about this guy and whether he killed these women or not and stuff, there's a lot more twists and turns in it, that which I really appreciated. I thought it was, you know, one of those good attention grabbers. I just, you know, it was good. It was okay. So I'm 3.5 stars for me, right? And 3.5 stars in my book is not bad. It's not. So you have to understand my rating system. I am very stingy with my 5s. Callie tells me all the time that she's just like, you get a 5 stars. You get a 5 stars. I am so not like I need perfection or close to it. And not to say that my 5 stars doesn't have some flaws, because they do. All right, so Most Wanted, that was that. Kelly and I disagreed on a little bit. The Inheritance of Orquídea Divina. I really enjoyed this book. I really did. I also gave it 3.5 stars. I know you guys are thinking like, Arlene, what does it take to give you more? All right, so a lot of times maybe it has to do with my mood of what I was interested in at the same time. But I still recommend the read. Now, this is something Kelly and I were talking about, is that I would grab your little notebook or your journal. This is my Conquest journal. This is my TN. Have you guys seen it? Anyways, yeah, you can find my discount links in my bio. I have like life in here. Life. So this is where I'm reading from. Anyways, the Inheritance of Orquídea Divina, there is so many characters, like so many. And it's a great time to practice those note-taking skills and map out the characters to keep them straight, because I promise you, you will get lost at some point. Unless you have like this photographic memory type of thing, you will get lost. But it has that magical element to it, like kind of almost magical realism, but not really. And I really appreciated that. So basically they all get this call, like, you know, extended families in this family tree, which is funny, tree. Wait. And when they get there, they're Orquídea, the grandmother or mother for some, or mother, you know, of several of them, she's in her living room and she's literally turning into a tree. So when she passes away, or what they believe that she passes away, she actually turns into a tree. You know, some of them go their separate ways. There's like, you know, obviously some magic or some element that they knew about, but they didn't really fully know her history. And then you kind of get all those pieces together about like how her life started, how she got to where this point, and how she even got any kind of magic. I thought it was really cool. I thought the development of it was really awesome. I really enjoyed the beginning. This is one of those other books, like Half Bad, that which is funny, Half Bad. No, I wouldn't call it bad in the middle, but anyways, the pun, whatever. So, you know, the beginning was cool. The ending was cool. The middle was a mess for me. I was like, wait a second, rewind. But I really enjoyed it. I think it's still a read that I would recommend and add into my bookshop and Amazon store, because yeah. And I have those, you know, by the way, it's just for reference. Check your library first. If you like to buy books, just buy it. It's fine. I'm not judging. I just, you know, I know it looks like I buy everything, but I don't. This is years in the making. Next book was a 5-star. Here's the other one. It is Yellow Wife. Now, Yellow Wife, and I think I believe it recently won another award. This is a book that everyone should read. Is it a easy read or book to digest? No. Is it hard? Is it difficult? Will it make you uncomfortable? Will it trigger you? Yes, 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 and yes. Is it still something I recommend reading? Yes, 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 and yes. And especially from a voice author. Okay. So, Yellow Wife. And I really enjoy this perspective, especially being an Afro-Latina. So, you know, as someone with a mixed heritage, you know, hearing about, you know, the time in slavery and stuff like that, you hear like one extreme or the others, you know, but then you wonder, you know, what was going on with like Latinos, Hispanics, or mixed or whatever. So this gave like a window to that aspects that I always crave to know more about, you know, of somebody with mixed heritage. The Yellow Wife is based out of a real life person. And obviously some liberties were taken, and the jailer as well. So this was actually based on a real true story. And obviously it's historical fiction, so they're gonna swing it a little bit differently. This was just written, okay, like when there's a book that you're reading and you just have to pause because you need to like grieve, you need to process, and the author has accomplished to put you right in the scene, and it's just masterpiece. I for one, just like, I foresee rereading this book several times, and it's difficult to say that you enjoyed a book that it was largely about what the horrors of slavery and what happened in those prisons, and you know, for those that were, you know, escaped or whatever, not to try to reach freedom, and everything that took place, and then those that were housed in the big house may have been perceived as having an easier life, or that they were happy with their situation because they were in the big house and they got to have children with the master and all that stuff. But then it gave this really intricate and beautifully detailed and raw, like, you know, and then the language was very true to the time. You know, the way it spoke, the you know, the vocabulary, everything was just on point. And the experiences was almost like you wanted to reach out to the author and say, are you okay? Because it just felt like it was felt so real that you just like, are you okay? Because I wasn't. Like, I literally could not pick up another book for a week after reading that, because everything else seemed like garbage afterwards. Like, it's garbage, just garbage. Anyway, so you follow her whole history, follow her from her first child that she had, that was with another individual from the plantation that she helped escape, and she ended up being pregnant, and long story short, the mistress of the house got an opportunity to get rid of her. She had certain advantages because the owner of the plantation favored her for being his daughter and stuff like that, but she was still enslaved. And he had promised her freedom, I believe, at her 18th birthday, but something happened. So you got to read and find out what happened, but she did get like shipped off to this notoriously horrible, crazy jail. And then you see how this relationship, which is not a relationship, was a forced relationship. You know, it's rape. There's no consent there. But anywho, you see it all develop, her having this man's children, but the way that she lived and the fear that she lived and the strength that she had, and you know, how she fought to finale, and what you perceive as, oh, she had it made. You know, it was a different type of hell. Does that make sense? All right. So Yellow Wife to me is, I'm probably gonna go ahead and buy a physical copy because I just want it on my shelf. And it was just, and I also did the audiobook, which was excellent. do the audiobook too. Excellent. Yes, I sometimes do both. So next book was not a 5-star for me because 5 stars to perfection, and I was really pissed off at the end. Not because there was anything like wrong or that they messed it up. It's just like I felt like they left me hanging. And I was mad because I needed more. It was called A Million Junes. Oh my goodness, A Million Junes. It's so good. It's okay, maybe some people will disagree with me. I gave it 4.5 stars. I thought this book was magic. Magic. So you have like this interesting story development where it seems, and I believe she was the author of that book type, Book Lovers, whatever it's called. Anyways, I'm not reading that. I don't read rom-com. Sorry, I don't. Maybe sometime I'll be like, lose a bet and have to read it. But A Million Junes is something outside of these this author's genre. But you have 2 feuding families for like as long as people can remember. Everybody, like, I guess in the town knows that they don't like each other. Nobody knows exactly what happened. They have like this kind of superficial story that they tell people. But one of the things is that June, she lives in a house that is known to have like this flare of magic, like people, you see dead people there. There comes a night that she comes across, you know, the forbidden love of, you know, somebody from the other family. And then when they have contact, they get like these flares of memories that are not their memories, but memories of people in their family. And then you go onto a crazy rabbit trail with this and you continue on with it. Like, this was one of those books I could not put down and I forsake sleep. Like, what's the point? I need answers, and I need answers now. I remember one day, it was like 2 a.m. and I was just like, I need to keep going. I need to read it all. And then I finally finished it, and when I got to the end, I was like, I need a book too. I need to see them at 70 years old. I need to see them at this age. And, you know, so there is that romantic element to it, but it's not like overpowering or anything like that. So you have like that almost that slow burn and kind of thing, but it's done in a very tasteful, cool way that I that's me. I don't really do romance. I tend to laugh at romance novels. Like, you know, maybe I'm just too much of a cynic. Anyway, but I really, really enjoy that book. Like, it was so good. It was so, so good. So yeah, it didn't get a 5-star for me because I was pissed. I need not for it not to be a standalone. So if anybody knows the author, tell her I need more. All right, so that was all the ones I actually finished. Now there is a few, and these are not all the ones I didn't finish, because at one point I just stopped writing them because, dude, it was so bad. I literally just stopped writing them. It was so bad. So I went on a kick, and actually I mentioned this briefly on my live, and this is something I am going to continue to do into next year, into 2023. It's one of my goals, and my reading goals, the little challenge that I'm making for myself. I want to reread books that I've read, you know, whether as a teen or as a child. And I want to read them with different lens, with my adult, you know, more cynical lens. And, you know, it was just surprising to me. And it started with this. Okay, so the book that made me into a book nerd, I remember it vividly. I believe it was in 4th grade, maybe 4th or 5th grade, and it was Wayside School Falling Down. I thought the book was hilarious. I love it. I have it on my rereading Wayside School Falling Down so many times. I loved it. So when I got my hands on a used copy, I was like, kiddos, hang around with me. We're gonna do a read aloud. This is the book that made mommy a reader. This is why mommy's nose is always on, like, you know? And I was excited. I started reading it. Have you read it like now as an adult and you're like, oh. Now I don't ban books, know this. You know, obviously I may be like, oh, okay, this is a better by an author with personal experience or attachment or whatever, and it's a little bit different. But I don't ban books. You know, that's just me. I read banned books. But when I was reading it, I was just a little surprised because I don't remember it being that way. I don't remember, like, you know, it was more of like, you can tell, like, in the era that we grew up in, like with 80s and 90s kids and stuff, and like that more abrupt parenting and things that, you know, we found funny then that are not so funny now. That sounds a little, I don't know, the language, it gave me pause. We talked about some parts, but it was interesting, and that sparked this interest in me to reread a lot of the books that I once thought were amazing, and that's made me a reader because I have like no real recollection of exact stuff. In that same token, I was rereading some of the banned books, and some of them I didn't remember, or some of them I never finished. Looking for Alaska by one of my favorite authors, John Green. I don't want to say I will not like finish it. I just could not get into it. I was like, I don't know, 6 chapters in, I was just like, and I think I picked it up during banned books week because I make a point to like share banned books and read banned books. I mean, I do it all year long, but then I make like an extra point to do that, and I just couldn't finish it. I don't know, maybe I'll try it again. The next one is super popular. Oi. I felt this was pure torture. It's called The Inheritance Games, y'all. I know. Everybody's like obsessed with the series. I thought it was so freaking slow. I actually went like this to Kelly, and I'm like, when does the story start moving? Because I don't know how much longer I can do this. I actually finished 60% of book 1. I could not. I just like, let's go. You know, and somebody that's long-winded, you know, it had to be like, dude. So Inheritance Game was just not it for me. I will probably never pick it up again. I know a lot of people that love it. My girl Kelly is one of them. So don't let that deter you. Oh my goodness. And if this was you, please let me know in the comments below any book that was super popular that everybody raves about and you just don't understand, because that was it for me. Okay, another book that I reread from my teenage era, maybe, I don't know how old I was, maybe I wasn't that young, but PC Cast, which is the mother-daughter duo, write all kinds of like kind of supernatural, magical stories, and even some like dark academia type of things. I was always like obsessed with their books. I pick up all the series and everything like that. I am not gonna give up on this, but I reread one of the first book that I read by PC Cast, and that was Marked. I don't know, like, who was I? Like, it makes me reevaluate, like, who was I as a person at such and such age? Because I'm literally like sitting here and it's like, I can't do this. And you guys know, anything witchy, anything magical, it's my jam, because this is why people unfollow me, because I'm too witchy or magical vibe person. I don't know, whatever. I love it all. Like, in another life, maybe I had magic powers, please. Anyway, Marked, I couldn't do it. I really love PC Cast. I read more recent titles or really enjoyed, but I really want to go back to those original stories that made me love them, and maybe just like push through it and just see what I think. I'm probably gonna do like some monthly segments where I'm gonna be sharing just on those rereads, even if I don't finish them, of childhood books that I loved and my adult perspective. I think it's fun, and you know, if you want to go on this journey with me, let me know. A Rip Through Time. I was super excited about A Rip Through Time. Goodness, I was waiting for weeks for my library hold. When I finally got it, I was so excited. I think it's it wasn't bad or anything like that, or anything that wasn't enjoyable. I think I was just no longer in the mood for it. But it ripped through time. I don't know. I just And this could very be that all these books came after Yellow Wife. Like nothing can compare. All right. I also picked up another book because it sounded pretty much right up my alley. The Southern Book Club Guide to Slaying Vampires. I was really excited about this book. I gave it like 10 chapters. I don't know what was going on. This is one of those titles where I feel like a lot of people will enjoy this. I think, you know, that it's just going to speak to a lot of people. But my ADD brain went on full blast on that. I was just like, when it was like 4 chapters in, I still couldn't tell you what the book was about. It's not going to be pretty, guys. I'm lost. I'm gone. ADD activated. My mind is in 127 different places. I no longer know what you're saying to me. Anyways, so that was it for me, the Southern Book Club Guides to the Slaying Vampires. I really tried. I think I gave it like first 4 chapters, and I abandoned it for a couple of weeks, and then I came back to it. I still had no idea what was going on, so I gave up. The last DNF that I want to share with you, even though I had a lot more, but these were the ones that I really like got into, like further into it, like a lot of chapters. And I don't give books a lot of chapters because, as you know, I receive a lot of books for reviews and stuff like that. I've got stuff to read, you know. Was The Summer I Turned Pretty. I got like a little bit writing Cars with Boys vibe from it, thinking just reading the title, not that it had anything to do with the same thing at all, but I was interested. I was piqued. I don't know. It's a short novel. It was something I could have easily pushed through, but it just didn't do anything for me. And it's just, I know a lot of people enjoy this, so take this with a grain of salt. It's just not my genre. Not really. And I think I keep trying, and sometimes some titles do meet that expectation that you know, to grab me, even though it's not my genre. And I'm like, cool, all right, I can stay open-minded. And I still stay open-minded to other genres that I don't typically just pick up on my own. My reading wrap up, I will share a couple of books that I'm actually picking up this week. I shared a few different reads on my live, so if you're interested in rehashing it all again and seeing our dialogue between these, this book was actually shared by Kelly. We are each other's enablers. This is from the St. Benedict series, and it's called River of Ashes. Alexandra Wise and Lucas Astor. Look at this cover, y'all. Like, she had me at the cover. Like, before I even read her caption to like read the review, I was like, ooh. So to me, not very many titles will warrant me to like buy now. I actually end up usually buying titles after I read them and they have deemed worthy of a spot on the shelf. And this is something I grabbed before I even read. I thought this sounded really, really cool. So like, you know, there is a school, so, you know, the St. Benedict High. There's one powerful family, one kid that is like a star quarterback. He's handsome, he's charming, you know, prince, you know, like a typical thing, but he's also a psychopath. So you had me a psychopath, like, yes, please. I'm a little dark. So a dirty family secret buried for years. Because evil grows unchecked in the shadows of the haunted abbey. He commits unspeakable acts on his victims and ensures their silence with threats and intimidation. Anyways, and it just goes on from there. I just thought, she has a full review on her Instagram, so just, you know, check it out because she's actually read it. I'm just gonna start it. And I mean, you had me at the cover. Yes, we judge books by their cover. Yeah, this book has been on my wish list forever. It is massive. You guys know how I feel about massive book. I feel like, you know, just break it up for me so I feel like a sense of hope that it's gonna be over soon. But I got this used from thrift books, and I always love that because sometimes I get like library copies. Like this one was Columbus Metropolitan Library. So I have a collection of books that I typically find them used first if I can. And I have them from like different parts of the country and different libraries, and some of them have like little notes and stuff. I just find it so fun. Anyways, I don't know if you care, but that's what I'm talking about. Anyway, so it's The Secret History of Witches by Lisa Morgan. And I am like, it's a historical saga, so obviously historical fiction with magic elements to it. Traces 5 generations of fiercely powerful mothers and daughters, witches whose magical inheritance is both dangerous threat and extraordinary gifts. I love that whole build up of different generations. Obviously it was not magic, but Pachenko was multiple generation type of thing, historical fiction, no magic elements. And I really, really enjoyed that. That book was massive too, but I just I love being able to follow through. That's what I wanted for Million Junes. I don't care it wasn't meant to be like that. I needed to know more. I needed to know what happened to them later in life. I needed to know what happened to them, like their grandkids and their great-great-grandkids. I don't care. I just wanted to know it all. So I like books that show me multiple generations and it has magic. The T-Vibes. It's October. It should be October every month. A Secret History of Witches is something I'm going to be diving into along with, 27 other titles because I'm a reader, so whatever feels right in any given moments. Anywho, that is all I have today. Let me know your thoughts on any of the books that I shared, and let me know what you think about rereading your childhood favorites through your adult lenses. What do you think you would think? Have you done it? Let me know, because that is something I've been doing for a couple months, but I'm going to start sharing more about that soon. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.
I'm only gonna give it to you honestly.